So in this clip, I was at a family gathering with Adam and Ozzy for Adam's family. We were at his aunt's house just like to comfort her, and we went to her husband's funeral, Adam's uncle, 2 days after this night, but there was just a lot of people there and a lot of family to like cheer her up, and everyone was drinking and there was a lot of tears, and yeah, it was just really sad. And I never had a big family, so it's really cool seeing like such a big family come together in times like this, and it was just really sad. Ozzy had such an amazing time though, and there were so many little kids there screaming, and there was 2 babies, literally 3 weeks older than him and 2 weeks younger. So he had babies there around the same age, and yeah, it was a cool time.
Adam! Adam!
Oh!
Yeah, because the left tire won't. I'm coming to help.
It was so funny. His niece looked at me and said, "I'm cutting him open." I'm peeing.
Hey, babe, are you in here?
Yeah.
I love you.
Ew. I'm in the bathroom again. I'm actually so depressed. I'm extremely overstimulated, so I went to the bathroom yet again. It's like, I know Ozzy needs social interaction, but it's really hard for me to see him being passed around to so many people, and I know that it's healthy, but like, I am his mother. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I've seen him every single day, 24 hours a day since the day he was born. It is so hard for me. I have anxiety really bad, and I'm in the bathroom. I cannot deal with loss. I don't think we've seen each other since the family gathering 2 days before the funeral. Wow. The day after the family gathering, the next morning, we had to call 911 for Ozzy. We got into a little car accident, and then I spilled a $40 tub of formula in one day. The day after the family gathering and the day before the funeral. So of course that day just had to be bad too. So it was the morning after the family gathering, and I was getting really bad like period cramps, like uterus pain. I keep feeling like the camera's over here instead of over there. I was just like turned over in the bed, and when me and Adam wake up, we grab Ozzy out of his crib, because his crib is next to our bed, and we put him in the bed with us. I change his diaper, and like we just play with him and talk to him until he wants a bottle. He doesn't always want a bottle right away. And I was turned over because I was cramping, and Adam was supposed to be watching him, and because I tweak about it because my oldest brother fell off the bed when he was younger than Ozzy. Adam fell off the bed when he was a baby. I feel like everyone's baby has fallen off a bed or couch. I feel like at least 50% of people fell when they were a baby, like before 6 months or like before a year. But Adam was supposed to be watching Ozzy and making sure he didn't roll off the bed. And Adam has ADHD, and he gets distracted very easily. There's also been plenty of times where I went and took a shower, Adam watched him for an hour, and nothing like this has ever happened before. I don't know, it's one of those things where it's like, I should have known and I should have been watching, but I was in pain. I have to watch Ozzy constantly, and when Adam's at work for most of the day, like I should be able to relax in the morning and turn over if I'm in like really bad pain, which that's a whole nother thing. I have an OBGYN appointment. Just like a little bit of mom talk real quick. I have an OBGYN appointment. I'm about to get a copper IUD in because I'm still 19 years old. I don't want another baby right now. We cannot afford it, and I cannot mentally handle that right now. And every time we have sex, like it is extremely, extremely painful for me afterwards. Like I cannot have sex for days after because of how painful it is. And like, it's like my cervix. I looked it up and it said something about my pelvic floor. So I made an appointment with an OBGYN. Adam looked away for a second and Ozzy jumped off the bed. Like he army crawls and he just like leaps himself forward, and like that's basically what he did. And obviously he's perfectly fine, no injuries at all. But I was terrified because I did not see him fall. So I didn't know if he fell forward and like hurt his neck or something. I was like scream crying and panicking because I didn't know if he fell on his neck. And Adam wouldn't say anything. Like he was so in shock, and I was in shock that he wouldn't say anything. And he literally saw him fall, and he fell on his he flipped midair and fell on his back. So he didn't fall on his arms, and he didn't fall on his head or neck, and he landed. I guess thank God we're messy with our clothes, because every night we take off our clothes and throw it on the side of the bed, and I just pick it up in the morning. So the floor was like padded with clothing, I guess. So that was, being messy was a bonus. As soon as he fell, that thud and like the cry he let out, like he's not hurt. His pupils didn't blow. My nurse did she checked his pupils. They dilate fine. He didn't fall on his neck or anything. He's perfectly fine. And I ended up calling 911 and had the paramedics come in my house because I was just like panicking. I couldn't like after hearing him cry like that, I don't know how people can hurt their children. I do not understand how people can do that. So I feel like it is partly my fault, but you know, I should be able to trust someone to watch him without freaking out 24/7 and never being able to relax, always just being on helicopter mode. Like I need to relax too. Especially if I'm in a lot of pain. But yeah, so that happened. The paramedics came. I was scrambling to find my phone. I found my phone and it was dead. So that was a rude awakening to always plug my phone in at night. Never have your phone dead in case of an emergency. I'm so stupid for that. My camera app just randomly shut off. I really hope it doesn't do that again because I just lost like 2 minutes of footage. When the ambulance got here, they got here relatively quick. It was like 10 minutes. And when they got here, Ozzy was no longer crying. He was completely fine. They looked at him, they checked him over, and he was completely fine. And the paramedic said that the same thing happened to his son. He fell off a chair, or like fell and hit his head face first on hard tile, and just said basically that those things happen. And yeah, the paramedic was comforting me more than Ozzy. He's never had a fall before in 7 months. He's never had a fall, ever. He's never hit his head. I've also never had to call 911 before. That was a first. I've never had to call 911. So yeah, after that was all done and we were shaken up, we had to go do a few DoorDash orders because we just have to sometimes. Adam works full time and sometimes we still just don't have enough money and we have to DoorDash. So we were picking up an order and we were still just in shock and dissociated and out of it from having to call 911 and just everything. Ozzy was asleep in the back and Adam reversed out of a parking spot and reversed into a car. Just backed into a car. I immediately heard the crunch and just shut my eyes and started crying because you know, the line was wrapped around the building, so there was a car perfectly behind us. So he looked on either side and there was nothing, but the car was perfectly behind us, so he just backed right into the car. And I just I had to wait a few days to talk about this stuff. Like, I was a mess that entire day and just sobbing, and I ended up going to my mom's house. It was just a mess. The lady that he backed into was so kind. She saw that I was sobbing. We had a baby in the back seat that was still asleep. Like, he didn't even get woken up because it was like 5 miles an hour. He immediately opened the door to talk to her and said, let me call my mom because she has all the insurance information for his car, because he's just not responsible with stuff and loses everything. She said she basically said that she saw what we were doing there and that we weren't trying to get away, or like we weren't just like not paying attention. And I don't know, she was amazing, and she said she would try to work it out with her insurance company because we were literally working. We had a baby in the back. I was sobbing. It was just a whole mess. And then we drove to my mom's house because I needed to just get my mind off of everything. And when we got there, an entire $40 tub of the big tub of formula spilled. We get him Similac and the entire big tub spilled. And that's like a lot of money worth of formula. We have to spend $100 for formula a week, and he's 7 months old. Yeah, that $40 tub is not cheap and is not really easy to replace when you're 19 and 21 and working class. Like, it's not easy to replace $40 worth of food. So yeah, that all really, really sucked, but it definitely could have been worse if something would have happened to Ozzy, if he would have landed wrong. And God, it was just so shocking. Like, that has never happened before. I have always been a hawk with him and watched him so closely, and it's just still so shocking. If that happens to you or has happened to you, try to make sure it doesn't happen, but no, it takes a second. It literally takes a second, and you are not a horrible parent. If you are not purposely inflicting that pain, you are not a horrible parent. Just watch your kid closely. One thing that I want to say, when Adam backed into that car, she immediately started recording our license plate and like recording us. Do that. Record. If someone backs into you, record immediately, because people will take off or start acting violent even if it was their fault. Always record or take a picture of the license plate. Like, that day obviously could have been a million times worse if he, like, as long as Ozzy is alive and healthy and happy, I'm fine. And like, nothing is the worst or rock bottom anymore, honestly. Like, as long as he's here and happy and healthy and thriving like he is, I'm good. Like, anything else could happen and we're still good. Just definitely be careful, and do not leave your baby on a high surface, an ottoman, a couch, a chair. Don't leave them anywhere where they're not buckled in or strapped in unattended. Make sure someone is watching them, because it takes a second, and he could have landed wrong. He could have landed on his neck, and that's terrifying. That is so terrifying. The next day was the funeral, and we took Ozzy, obviously, and there was probably like over 100 people there, and we were at a church, and there was just so much family and so many children and so many babies. There were 4 or 5 babies under a year old. The service was lovely. It was at a church, and they showed so many photos of him and talked about his life. And I've not been to a funeral since I was a child, so it was very lovely.